First of all, I would like to outline the security aspect of API keys and explain why the process that you are going through is a bit tough. In order to operate fully, Cryptember bot needs two types of API keys, which we call read-only API key and trade API key. The read-only API key is used to get historical trades, balances, current orders, and other information about your account, but it cannot modify, e.g. open new trades, canceling existing, etc. This key requires the least protection, as it is not harmful even if it has been compromised. Nonetheless, Cryptember encrypts it with its own password, generated in a special manner. The trade API key can do trade activities, e.g. place orders, open and close positions, cancel orders, etc. It requires more security, as if it gets compromised, someone can use it to make trades on your behalf. Cryptember encrypts with its password combined with your own password, which only you know, thus making it impossible to get compromised. Moreover, even if for any reason someone knows your password, it is useless as they would need to have access to your Telegram account as well in order to trade on your behalf. There are further layers of security, one of which is the use of recommended by Binance IP address restrictions, which allow a particular key to be used by a certain IP address, consequently making it impossible to be used from another device if compromised. Another layer is that the keys are set up with specific levels of access, sufficient for doing specific tasks only. For example, read-only API key cannot trade, and trade API key cannot withdraw or move funds between spot and futures accounts. And if that is not enough yet, the server on which Cryptember bot is running is put behind the firewall, which makes it impossible to attack or get access from the web. All in all, this makes the use of Cryptember bot secure and reliable. However, if you are still uncomfortable with leaving the encrypted trade API key at Cryptember, that is fine. Cryptember is built with a least permissions approach in mind, so some functionality works only with read-only API key, and some even with no API key, while still being useful. So it is up to you to decide which Kraken to unleash. Please note that you can engage in trading with Cryptember through Binance sub-accounts, which are distinct from your main portfolio. The API keys generated for a sub-account are exclusively designated for accessing that particular sub-account and cannot be utilized to gain access to your primary portfolio. Now let's go through the process of setting up API keys together. It is good that it needs to be done only once. Navigate to the Cryptember settings menu, where we use the Setup API Keys sub-menu. Select Read-Only API Key option to be set up first. Now we need to create the Read-Only API Key on the exchange. You can see the links to the exchange webpage where it can be created and to the documentation on Cryptember website where you can read step-by-step instructions how to do it. So let's navigate to the documentation first. As you can see, it is pretty detailed. Now, let's go back to the exchange and do it step by step. So first, let's create a new API key of system-generated type. You can give it any label. I will use read key. Creating API keys requires you to enter your two-factor code and confirmation code sent to your inbox. API key is successfully generated, and let's now apply the IP restriction so the key can only be used on the Cryptember server. So let's go to Edit Restrictions and select Restrict Access to Trusted IPs Only. The Cryptember server IP is specified in the guide on our website, and we can copy it from there and paste it here. So now you have to confirm and then hit Save. You will have to enter the security codes again. Once it is done, you can go back to Cryptember bot and add it there. There are two ways to do it. The first one is to enter the API key value and secret key value separated by a comma. So let's do that. Let's go back. Copy that, paste the API key, type a comma, then go back, copy and paste the secret key. Hit send or enter key, and now it's being validated. The second approach is to scan the QR code with your mobile device and enter the scanned text into the Cryptember prompt. This will add the key in a much easier way. Now let us set up a trade API key. It is used for creating and canceling trade orders on both spot and futures accounts. So if we go back to our menu, go to Setup API Keys and choose Trade API Key. Now you have to specify a password that is going to be used to encrypt your trade key for the best protection. This way, no one will be able to use it except you. This password will also be used to unlock your Cryptember trade sessions. So let's type in the password. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to use a rather long and easy to remember password, but it is not required to be that long. Make sure it is not a nightmare to type from a mobile device, as you will have to do it once in a while. Now we need to go to Exchange Settings and create a Trade API key. Let's navigate back to the Key Management setup. So we have our read key, and now let's create the trade key. So we now have to activate Enable Spot and Margin Trading and enable Futures options. If you do not plan to do futures trading, you can leave it as is. Also, if you have not activated your futures account on Binance before this key has been created, you will not have such an option at all on this API key. So let's go and do that. At first, you have to use Restrict Access to Trusted IPs Only option. Let's do the same what we did for Read Only API key. Copy and paste the IP from Cryptember documentation. Now we have to enable Spot and Margin Trading. And also, if you have your futures account open on Binance, you will have this possibility to enable futures. Please do not enable withdrawals or anything, as the Cryptember bot does not need anything else to operate. Hit save and enter the security codes. So we created our Trade API key. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add it to the bot. So let's go back to Cryptember and paste it just like we did for the Read Only API key. Copy and paste the API key, type comma as separator, and copy and paste the secret key. Hit enter and wait for it to validate and save. If you now go to, for example, Buy menu and start buying something, it will ask for your new password to be entered. After we've entered the right password, we can now start trading. Thank you.